Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Trisha, and this is the life I'm trying to love. So, if you're new here, I hope you will consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. And if you've been here before, today we're going to talk about my stroke. So, in May 18th of 2018, I had what is called a transient ischemic attack, which is basically a TIA, or in simple terms, a mini stroke. I was thrown for, I would say, the biggest loop of my life at that point. So the day that it happened was like any other normal day. I think I'd washed my hair that day. I did some cleaning. I had cooked. I want to say that I cooked dinner or something. I don't know. Anyway, the day was a normal day. As the day progressed, at some point I was on my way to bed. But before I went to bed, I went to go talk to my son. And then when I was done talking to him, and the one that said it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock, I went and got to bed. So I had fallen asleep like any other normal night. So around 2, maybe 3, I'm sorry, I had to pause. I was thinking one thing and about to say something else. So anyway, around 2, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, I got up because I had to go to the bathroom. And then when I first got up, I noticed that my left side was slightly weak, but nothing to be concerned about. Because prior to the year prior to that, actually, I should say, I was diagnosed with arthritis on my left knee. So I am bone on bone. I have no cartilage. But I was able to get around and navigate because they had started giving me cortisone shots. So when I first stood up, I thought that maybe that was the problem, that my knee was acting up. Didn't think nothing of it. So a little TMI here. I made it to the bathroom, proceeded to use the bathroom, and in the process noticed that my left side was going numb. So initially what happened was, as I was sitting there using the bathroom, so basically I'm sitting, so I noticed that my left leg started to do this. Okay. So then I thought, wow, well, that's strange. Why is that doing that? I didn't think anything of it. So until when I went to go like lift it back up or straighten it back up, I couldn't do it. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, what's going on here? A little background. I am a in-home private caregiver. So I have taken care of stroke victims before. So I know what a stroke looks like. But yet, in my mind, I wasn't having a stroke, or I wouldn't let my mind think. Like, I didn't go to, I'm having a stroke. You know what I mean? Like, that's not my first thought. I just thought, well, wow, my leg is going numb. And what's going on here? So then at some point in the process of trying to figure out why my leg was doing that, my arm joined in. So at some point I realized that my arm, I was losing the ability for my arm. So my arm started to do the very same thing. Again, I'm not thinking stroke. I'm thinking, what is going on with my left side? So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to figure out, but then I thought, okay, well, maybe just some weird reaction to something. I don't know. Again, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm still half asleep. And my left side is going paralyzed. So, I actually now let me say that, I believe that God serves a purpose, or, they say in the Bible that God knows what's going to happen to you before it happens. So I really believe that the events that took place that night were set in place because it was known that I was going to suffer a stroke that night, because my son works nights. So normally he's not home. And then I had a friend who we had just let move in, who we weren't initially going to let move in. But she was there. And so normal circumstances would have had me in the house by myself. And if I had been alone that night, I don't know that I would have been able to make it to my phone to call the paramedics to do anything, because again, like I said, my left side went completely paralyzed. So my son and my friend were here, and I'm very, very grateful for that, because again, like I said, normally I would have been home alone. So once I figured out, okay, so my left side is paralyzed. So at some point I still managed to stand up, using all of my strength on my right side. I pulled myself up, pulled my clothes up, and managed to lean. I kind of had to lean against the wall, and I opened up the door. I yelled for my friend to call my son. My son came in the bathroom. He's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. My left side is not working. My brain still hasn't said you're having a stroke." So I'm like, "I don't know. My left side's not working." So we then proceeded to try to move me into the bedroom, because we're still in the bathroom at this point. And I realized that I could not move my left leg. Like my leg would not, like I couldn't get my leg to take the step. So at this point now, we back me up because I'm standing. So we back me up, and we sit me back down on the toilet. And so I told my son, I think, you know what, I think we better call the paramedics. So he called 911. He, talked to them, told them what the symptoms were, and they immediately started a stroke assessment. So if you've ever had a stroke, or you've known someone who's had a stroke, then you know that they walk you through certain things. Like they have you smile, they have you say certain words, they have you do certain things with, to determine whether or not, if that's what's happening. So aside from left side paralysis, I didn't show it. So my face didn't droop, my words didn't slur, at least not at that point. I never had facial droop, but I did I did have some slurring of my words. So at this point now, so my son is talking to the paramedics, and I'm just sitting there because I'm not sure what's going on. I'm still haven't, even though I'm doing stroke assessments, I'm not thinking I've had a stroke, if that makes sense. So anyway, the paramedics arrive, they get here, they hook me all up, they do the, what's the thing I'm trying to look for? My blood pressure, they take my blood pressure. It's 200 and something over 100 and something. So at this point, they initially tried to get me to stand up, to walk out, realize that that's not what's going to happen. So they brought in, I guess, what is called a gurney chair. Because when the stroke happened, we lived on the second floor. We have now since moved to a downstairs unit so that I'm not trapped in the house. But at the time, we lived on the second floor. So they brought in what I guess it's like a gurney chair. So they strapped my left side to my body, wheeled me down the stairs and into the ambulance. And once I got into the ambulance, myself and the paramedic both realized that my speech was starting to change. Like I realized it was getting harder for me to talk. Like the words that were where I was talking normal while I was in the bathroom, I was now struggling to make simple words now that we've gotten to the ambulance. So anyway, we get to the hospital. Funny thing is, I can laugh about it now. It wasn't funny that night, but it was funny. It's not funny now, but in the same, I can still laugh at it. But I thought to myself, wow, I didn't pass go. I didn't collect $200. I went from ambulance to CAT scan. And so they did the assessment, squeeze this, move that, touch this, do that, so none of the left side. So everything was working perfectly fine on my right side, but nothing was working on my left side. Now, as you can see, I have movement and stuff back. So the movement came back, and I can actually walk now without my walker or a cane. But at that night, nothing moved on my right side or left side, excuse me. So I was rolled into ER. They took blood work. They did all the things. So basically they were like, well, we're going to order a CAT scan, which was now, it's about, I don't know, 4 or 5 in the morning. So I was also due to babysit that day. And so now I'm in the ER while they're still doing what they need to do. I only had like 30% on my phone because I didn't plug it up before I went to bed that night. But I'm trying to update everybody and let everybody know, hey, I'm in the ER. We're not sure what's going on. They have me on stroke watch, but I haven't been diagnosed yet. So I had to call the girl that I babysat for and let her know, hey, I don't know what's going on. I'm in the ER right now. Just in case she had to either call off work or find a substitute babysitter. So now the doctor comes in and he's saying, well, this is what we think is going on. This is what we think has happened. This is what, so we're going to, so that we don't rule anything out, we're going to send you up for an MRI. Well, the MRI people didn't get there till like about 8 o'clock in the morning. So I go for the MRI. It's probably 9:10 before the doctor comes in and says, okay, yes, it's been confirmed. You've had a stroke. You had a right side. So the stroke happened like around in here somewhere, which is why he was saying why I don't have any I had left side paralysis. He basically said that I had a blood clot. And the good thing was the blood clot had already dissolved itself before I either got into the hospital. So I didn't need to have the medication that they give you, because there's a window when you have a stroke from the start of the stroke until I think an hour after the stroke. There's that window where you're supposed to be administered the medicine to break up the clot. Well, my clot broke itself up. So there was no clot. When I got to the hospital, or by the time they took the MRI, I should say. I don't know if it was gone by the time I got to the hospital, but so now it was like official. You've had a stroke, so we're going to admit you. We're going to bring you up to ICU, and then we're going to move forward with, stroke recovery, because now I'm in stroke recovery. So I'm basically sitting there in the bed trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Like, I had a stroke. Like, I'm a caregiver. I take care of stroke patients. I'm not a stroke victim or, person. I'm not supposed to have a stroke. I'm supposed to take care of the people who have had a stroke. So I'm confused. I'm discombobulated. I'm scared. Like I said, I initially got to the hospital like 4 o'clock in the morning. So, and it's like about 9 or 10 o'clock. So nobody's really made it to the hospital yet. So I'm just like, but I'm getting phone calls because, like I said, when I first got there, I was updating people. So yes, I put it on Facebook. So as people woke up and was reading the Facebook, so then, I'm probably down to like 25% on my phone now, and people are calling, wanting to find out what's going on. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I only got a little bit of battery power on my phone. Let me get settled so I can plug it up, because I did remember to bring my charger. If I don't do nothing else, I'll bring my phone and my charger. But anyway, so we, so as I was laying there, every now and again, I think about every hour, they would come in and do an assessment. Okay, smile, look this way, say this word, lift this thing, do this. So the first thing that came back was my hand. My left hand came back. So now, also, let me jump in real fast and let you know, I am left-handed. So all of the damage right now for everything, for arthritis and stroke, is on my left side. So I am, in essence, having to learn how to reuse my left side. Now, I can write. Not clear. I mean, I guess it depends. If my arm is not fatigued, then I can write very clearly. But once my arm gets tired, then you get what you get. And if you might can read it, you might not. But anyway, so now like I said, my left hand came back first. So when they had me, they have you do the squeeze test to see where your strength is. And of course they compare it to the strong side. So they would have me squeeze their hand with my right hand first and then squeeze with my left hand. And so she's like, oh, well, you're getting your grip. The nurse was like, oh, you're getting your grip back. And I was like, am I? She was like, yeah. So she was like, well, that's a good sign. She said, usually you have a stronger chance of full recovery the faster things start to come back. So my hand came back first, and then all of a sudden I realized that I could lift my arm and I could, move my leg. Now, the difference is where I can use my left side, where I can walk and everything, there's still a detached feeling. Like my arm and leg don't necessarily feel attached to my body. Like there's strength there. Like I regained the strength back, but how can I say it? There's a strength weakness. Like there's strength, but then at the same time, it's weak. So, and then when it gets tired, it's even weaker. I don't really know how to describe it in the sense that, but if you've had a stroke or you know someone who has a stroke, then you can understand what I'm saying. But if you've never had a stroke or you don't know anyone who has a stroke, it's kind of hard to just imagine that you have kind of like a rag doll, like the arm and leg is sewn to the body, but there's no, it's just kind of there and it's waving. Where like a doll that's like maybe a Barbie doll or a baby doll or whatever, you move the arm and it's, you control it. There's control. But then again, I can use it and I have strength, but there's still the weakness. And then I suffer from fatigue. So then I moved up to ICU. I was in ICU maybe 2 days. They got me up and walking with a walker, like right away, like the next day, like they had me up and walking. Because they were saying that, the sooner that I send that signal back to the right side of my brain, the faster that my brain would repair itself. So literally the next day they had me up walking. They had me, washing my face and brushing my teeth and trying to use, because I'm left-handed. So of course they had me focusing in on my left side. So I was in ICU maybe 2 days. Then they moved me down to a regular floor. I was there on the regular floor for maybe a day and a half. And then I moved to rehab. So I stayed in rehab a month and a half. So basically physical therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy. I had to do all of those, and I had to reach a certain number in order to be released. So since me getting better was my main goal, I worked hard. I did whatever they asked me to do, even on the days that I didn't feel like doing it, even the days that my body was like, okay, I'm enough. I think the biggest shock was the amount of fatigue, like they call it stroke fatigue. It's another thing that I don't know how to explain. The level of tiredness is overwhelming. Like it is like there's some days when I just can't believe how tired I feel. And they're saying that the fatigue comes from the fact that my brain I'm tired because my brain is fighting hard to repair itself. So I try not to let the fatigue days get me down. But there are days when I'm just like, forget it, I'm not moving. So I was in the hospital. I was in rehab for a month and a half, and then I came home. So like I said, when the stroke happened, we lived upstairs. So imagine the day I got home. I've never been intimidated by stairs before, but when I got out of the car and I looked at them stairs, I thought, how am I going to get up the stairs? Like, I can barely walk across the floor. Now you want me to climb stairs? Even though stairs were part of my rehab, but they weren't that many stairs. So I looked at them stairs, and for the first time I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to go upstairs. But my son and his girlfriend at the time were there, and they got on each side of me, and we took it one step at a time. I mean, it took me, I don't know, I'm sure about a good 10 minutes to get up them stairs, but we made it up. I got in the house, And, you know, life after the stroke began, because now I was home. I didn't have, you know, the physical therapist. I didn't have my occupational therapist. I didn't have my speech therapist. I just had my son, and he had to work. So, and by this time, the friend that we had that lived with us, she had, you know, found her place and she had moved out. So it was just me. So now I was home alone, basically. But I have such a determining spirit that I was bound and determined to not have to depend on anybody. Initially, when I first got home, my son was trying to do everything. I'm like, no, let me do it. You know, I struggled. I mean, you don't never know the stuff that you take for granted about your life. You don't become aware of it until you don't have it anymore. Like to pour yourself a glass of water. Like it was hard for me to pour a glass of water because, you know, I can't balance and pour with one hand. So I still needed to be able to tip the jug over far enough to get the water out. The first couple of days, I think maybe I drank maybe about this much water because that was all I could get in a cup at one time. But I kept at it, and now I can pour myself a whole glass of water. Well, okay, we're cheating because now we have the spout. But anyway, that's not, we never talk about it. But, and so then, you know, I started with daily life. So daily life was getting up in the morning. I still had to do the same things. I still had to get up. I still had to, you know, wash my face, brush my teeth, try to comb my hair. That was another struggle because it's so hard to comb your hair one-handed. It's hard to do anything one-handed. And once my left side gets tired, then I really have to depend on my right side to carry the burden of daily life. So, you know, now here we are. I think this is 8 months. This is the 8th month. Well, this month will be the 9th month. So the 18th of this month will be 9 months since I've had the stroke. I was told, because of the type of stroke I had and how fast things came back, that I have a 90% chance of full recovery as long as I do the work and the exercise and the physical therapy, which I'm going to be trying to set those up here soon. So that I can start going back to physical therapy. Now, I bought a balance ball to help with some of the, you know, workouts here at the house. So maybe on the days that I'm too tired and I can't make it to therapy, I still want to be able to do something. So I have my balance ball that, you know, that's in place. Oh, I just realized the sun's going down, so my lighting is changing. But now, so at this point now, life is just about adjusting to my limitations, coming to terms with that I can't do what I used to do. Not because I'm unable to do, but because I'm just limited in the amount that I can do. The downside has been my sleep pattern has changed horribly. There are some nights when I can sleep great, and there are some nights when I can't sleep at all. But for the most part, I'm grateful. I feel blessed because I'm still here. There are some people that have strokes and they never recover. So I'm already ahead of the game because I'm probably maybe 60% recovered at this point, because now I don't require a walker. Maybe when I go out, I still bring it with me for just in case I get tired and I need something to lean on. But for the most part, I don't require a walker, a cane, or any type of assistance in terms of I can get in and out of the shower by myself. I can pretty much comb my hair by myself. I can get dressed. I can do what I need to do. I can fix myself something to eat. In fact, I made Thanksgiving dinner this past year all by myself. Took me an extra day, but still, I was able to do that. And then I traveled to New Orleans for Christmas. So yeah, my life is back. I just realized that I'm getting darker. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, hold on a minute. I'm going to possibly bring this. That better? No. Okay, so I was going to try to maybe bring in some light, but that just looks creepy. Okay, so never mind. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this video to a close. So if you have any questions, please put them down in the comment section. And stay tuned. I forgot my whole chain of thought. Yeah, if you don't notice, I had my notes here because I do that often. But so I was just going to say, I'm going to go ahead and bring this video to a close. If you have any questions or want comments, and leave it down in the comment section. And until my next video, I will see you next time.